This week in Women in Sports, it's been decades since the Gophers made it to the Sweet 16 game, what fans are looking forward to. Then the U of M introduces its new women's hockey coach. Hear why Greg May is excited to turn up the intensity. And later, who says sports can't be educational? How one Minnesota professor is using her love of the WNBA to teach her students lessons on economics.
WCCO's Women in Sports, sponsored by Franson Bank and Trust.
Thanks for joining. I'm Marielle Mohs, and here at WCCO, we are celebrating the highlights of female athletes in this digital segment called Women in Sports. We'll share news stories with you every week right here as we do our part to give these athletes the recognition they deserve. Well, we start this week on a somber note. Right now, investigators are continuing to comb through a home where a fire took the lives of a beloved Minnesota Wild reporter, Jessi Pierce, and her 3 small children. White Bear Lake fire crews were called to the home early last Saturday. Jason Rantala shares how the Wild organization is remembering Jessi and her impact on the hockey community.
Flowers, stuffed animals, the message "Rest in Peace" written in chalk, all paying respects to Minnesota Wild reporter Jessi Pierce and her 3 children who lost their lives in a fire. Firefighters and police were on scene Monday as the Minnesota State Fire Marshal's office continues its investigation. At Wild skate around Monday, Wild staff and players are still in disbelief.
Words just can't express how devastated we all are.
Wild General Manager Bill Guerin called Jessi a ray of sunshine and says she was always a pleasure to be around.
It's just something unimaginable that we're all very, very, very shook here.
It's devastating, man. I don't know. We saw her Friday morning, and then we get that message on Saturday. It's 3 kids, and no, I got 3 kids myself.
An online fundraiser has been launched to help support Jessi's husband, Mike, who was away from home when the absolute unimaginable happened. The fundraiser organizer writes that the children, each with their own unique personalities, shared Jessi's zest for life and love for adventure. They leave behind Mike, husband to Jessi and loving father of their children, who is now experiencing an unimaginably difficult time.
Still remember when she would bring the kids into the dressing room and doing interviews, holding them.
Wild coach John Hines says Jessi's presence will be sorely missed.
Hopefully we can all carry on her legacy with, I think, the smile and the passion for the game and the way that she treated people.
In White Bear Lake, Jason Rantala, WCCO News.
Minnesota Wild and Frost in-game host Kirsten Krull returned to Grand Casino Arena for the first time this week since the death of her friend, who she says was like a big sister. She also says Pierce was always willing to help. The two joined forces on the Bardown Beauties podcast discussing all things hockey. Their last show together was last week.
Anytime I was anxious, stressed, mad, upset, anything, if something big happened, she was there.
An online fundraiser for Pierce's husband, Mike, has now raised more than $200,000. And on a personal note, I didn't know Jessi well, but when I first met her, it was during a Frost media scrum. I was struggling to get my microphone close enough to the players in the crowd of reporters. Jessi saw that struggle, grabbed my mic because she was much closer to the players, and she said, "I got you." Her kindness will not be forgotten, and I hope her legacy inspires more women to find their voice in sports reporting. Well, moving on now to college hockey. The University of Minnesota has a lot to be excited about. This week, they announced Greg May as the new women's head hockey coach. He's been on the staff as an assistant since 2023, worked in the Gopher men's program and Augsburg as the head men's coach. Now he's on to a new opportunity.
But it's just going to be a level of consistency and intensity at how we do things, and it's probably not going to be comfortable at times for our players. But we know that what they want and what we want as a program is championships.
A familiar face on the big stage. Here's a look at the women's college hockey championship game. Wisconsin surrendered a two-goal lead to Ohio State, but Lakeville South grad Claire Enright put them back in front with what turned out to be the game-winning shot. The Badgers win this one 3-2 as back-to-back champs. This is their 9th national title. Now on to the slopes, where the winningest cross-country skier in the United States skied in her final race. Jessie Diggins from Afton, Minnesota, shining in yellow, wrapped up her prestigious career with the 20K mass start held in Lake Placid on Sunday. She finished 12th, visibly emotional after crossing the line. A legendary cross-country skiing career comes to a close. Diggins claimed her 4th overall World Cup title earlier in the weekend. She hangs up the skis with 4 Olympic medals and 7 World Championships. Congrats to her. Also on the slopes, Mikaela Shiffrin secured a record-tying 6th women's overall World Cup skiing title. She held off a challenge from emerging German rival Emma Eicher in the final race of the season this week in Norway. The 31-year-old American matched Austrian downhill great Anne-Marie Moser-Proll, who won her 6 titles in the 1970s. Shiffrin won 3 straight titles from 2017 to 19, then back-to-back titles in 2022 and 23. Lindsey Vonn, also a Minnesota native, is 3rd on the women's list with 4 overall titles. Now over to the fairway, it was a wire-to-wire win in the Fortinet Founders Cup last weekend. Hyo Joo Kim held off Nelly Korda on Sunday at Sharon Heights to take home a victory. Korda opened with a 5-stroke advantage, but that was gone after 10 holes. Kim regained the lead on the next hole and ended up with a 1-shot margin after a closing bogey. Kim shot a 1/73 for a 16 under, 272 total. Korda closed with a 69. Kim now has 8 LPGA Tour titles. Minnesotans will be talking about that buzzer beater for a long time. The final shot of the buzzer gave the Gopher women a win over Ole Miss in the second round and a trip to the Sweet 16 for the first time in more than 20 years. They'll be battling against the 1 seed UCLA. They destroyed Oklahoma State with the help of one Minnesotan. Gianna Neepkins from Duluth Marshall is one of many talented shooters on the Bruins. She knocked down a couple threes throughout the match, helping them keep their lead to win. The Bruins are headed to the Sweet 16 for the 4th year in a row. It's going to be a tough one for the Gophers, but they say they're thrilled to play against any team in this tournament.
Just unbelievable. I mean, that's just something that we discuss, obviously, like in the summer, like just dreaming big. But now that we actually accomplished it, like I never doubted this group. Like I know how like amazing we are.
The two teams last met in January. UCLA defeated Minnesota 76-58 in the lone regular season matchup. The Gophers had to show some resilience after falling behind, and they hope now they've established a toughness.
I think our toughness also came with our togetherness, that if someone got knocked around, like we're going to be right there to like help each other up or get the next play, next play mentality, and it was just amazing.
Now that the women are officially in the next phase of the tournament, fans are going the extra mile to make sure the girls are supported when they get there. Photojournalist Nick Luneman and Ren Clayton have the story.
For the first time since 2005, the Gopher women are heading back to the Sweet 16.
Pins and needles till the very end, and then swoosh. 10,000 fans at Williams Arena. They were all pumped up.
Back on campus, the buzz is still building.
Just because it's been so long, it's fun to hear people talking about it and just getting excited on campus for it. I love it.
Senior Nikki Tyberg spends part of her week at the Gopher fan shop in Huntington Bank Stadium and says that fans have been pouring in to secure their Gopher gear.
I've already had a couple people come in today asking about Sweet 16 merch, and unfortunately it's online, but I definitely seen up in numbers after a big win, which is awesome just to see more people here in the store.
For those diehard fans, watching on TV just isn't an option.
We're excited. Fans are excited.
That's where Steve and Dorothy Urban come in.
We said, that's it, baby. We're there. We're going to Sacramento.
They're working on a way to get fans out west so the players can feel the home crowd.
We're going to do a charter, but we didn't get quite enough people to do a 737, so we're doing a lot of schedule there.
Despite travel woes, they're hoping more fans will follow their lead.
This team's going to wake everybody up in Minnesota to be a women's basketball fan, because from now on, it's going to be rock and roll.
A team back in the spotlight, and fans are along for the ride. With photojournalist Nick Luneman, Ren Clayton, WCCO News.
The Gophers aren't the only Minnesota women's team who made an impressive run in the playoffs so far. In the Division II tournament, the University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs went from an at-large bid to compete to upsetting the top teams in their region. I recently had the chance to catch up with one of their lead scorers.
I think we were down 10 or 12 at one point in the fourth quarter. And I think all of us had the belief that we were still in it and we were going to fight back.
Fight back they did through double overtime. The University of Minnesota Duluth women's basketball team took down number 2 seeded Concordia St. Paul to punch their ticket to the Division II Elite 8. And they even upset number 1 seeded Minnesota State before that.
After the last game, I think a few of us were like, how do you even describe this moment? It just kind of feels unreal.
Senior and Eden Prairie native Myra Morjani, one of the top scorers against Concordia with 21 points, says their success is a team effort.
We don't just have 1 or 2 key players that you have to shut down like some of the other teams we play. So I think we have like 7 girls who can go off on any given night, and that really is a huge reason of why we're so successful. Our region is very tough. It's probably one of the best in the country. So being able to get out of our region, we know that we can play with any team. Doesn't matter the seed, doesn't matter if they're seeded way higher than us.
This marks the program's second NCAA Elite 8 appearance, and Morjani is finishing her time as a Bulldog as the NSIC All-Conference First Team selection.
I think we've had now 5 games where it could be our last game. Like, we just weren't sure what was going to happen. So really just leaving it all on the court and just having fun with it.
And unfortunately, the Bulldogs did lose that elite game against Colorado Mesa. The tournament was held in Pittsburgh. But hey, congrats to them for an awesome season. A historic contract in women's sports. The WNBA and Players Union tentatively agreed to a new contract that increases players' salaries by nearly 5 times. I recently met up with a Minnesota professor who is using this real-life example to get her lessons across to students. Take a look.
We're going to hire workers to produce basketballs.
Lynn McDonald is known at St. Cloud State University for making economics engaging.
Okay, how'd we do?
So it gave me this new lens for looking at the world, which I love being able to share with students.
So it's no surprise she got creative when she was teaching a school and community-wide econ course. As a Lynx fan and season ticket holder, she saw this as an opportunity to overlap sports and economics with the collective bargaining agreement negotiations in the WNBA.
It's fascinating, and it's such a great topic for students to think about so much with economics, with labor market, with negotiations and salaries and the gender pay gap. There's just so much here.
She donned a pink wig to give a shout out to the league's now famous duo, the Stud Buds, and broke down a heavy but important topic in a fun way. Students who attended say they were fascinated.
It's just kind of crazy seeing that like an NBA rookie player makes more than the best player on a WNBA team.
Being able to kind of see what we're reading and learning about in the classroom and seeing how that works in the real world, and especially we talked about the Lynx a lot, so seeing it right here in Minnesota, it was definitely, there's a lot of useful information, especially as a future coach and aspiring athletic director.
Since this presentation, a tentative agreement with the players and league was reached, favoring the players. Salary cap increased from $1.5 million to $7 million and will increase annually based on league and team growth. Max salary is now set for $1.4 million from $215,000. Average salary will be $583,000. Minimum salary will be between $270,000 and $300,000, up from $57,000.
It was great to see a number over $1 million. I still think it's too low, and it's an awesome win.
Lynn McDonald is the guest this week on the Women in Sports podcast. We dig deeper into the other features of the new CBA deal. You can listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Well, thanks for joining this week's Women in Sports. I'm Marielle Mohs. We'll be back with more great stories next week.